So a lot of guys ask, how do we get a woman emotionally attached so that she's hooked on you, so that she's not pulling away, she's not second guessing, and she's not losing interest the moment another guy comes along? She's thinking about you, missing you, and constantly wondering how to keep your attention hooked on her. Well, in this video, I'm gonna share 5 secrets, 5 things you can do to make a woman start feeling that strong attachment to you, where she's completely hooked, even if right now she's distant or seems unsure of her feelings. And I'll warn you, some of these may sound strange or completely opposite of what you'd expect, but there's a very specific psychology behind every technique that I'm going to share with you today, and I'll explain why it works. Hi, my name is Bobby Rio, and after coaching men for the past 15 years, one thing I've learned is that when a guy really likes a woman, he usually does the complete opposite of what makes her emotionally attached. Because when he really likes a woman, his instinct is to show her how serious he is, to prove he's different from other guys, to make her feel secure in his interests. So he'll do things like checking in with her a lot over text or giving her a lot of affection. He'll try to eliminate her doubts about his intentions by opening up or revealing his feelings. He'll make himself super available, and he'll try hard to show her that she's a really big priority for him. But for a woman, that kind of certainty too soon kills the excitement. Now, those words, too soon, are the most important words of what I just said, okay? Because it's not about never doing these things. Of course, when people fall in love, these things will happen. They should happen. But these things don't cause her to fall in love. And when you do them too much, too soon, too quickly, they badly backfire. It's about doing them only after she's emotionally invested, only after she feels like she's earned them. That's where guys get it wrong. When you give it to her all up front, there's nothing left for her to chase. And instead of it pulling her closer, it takes away the tension and it makes her feel like she's already won, and her interest starts to fade. See, women don't get attached through constant reassurance or by having everything spelled out for them. They get attached through things like emotional tension, unpredictability, and winning you over. So they get attached through things like emotional tension, unpredictability, and by feeling like they're slowly winning you over, like she's slowly, right? Again, slowly making you see how special she is. So how do you actually make a woman feel emotionally attached to you? Now, again, some of these might feel counterintuitive at first, but once you understand the psychology behind them, you'll see why they're actually very powerful. So first, you have to pass what I call her attachment tests. So you gotta pass what I call her attachment tests. See, a woman won't allow herself to become attached to a man she fears is weak, or a man she fears that she can tame or she can control. Because here's the thing, a woman can't tell right away if you're the real deal, or if you're just putting on a confident, attractive act. So she tests you with a little drama, with a little pushback, to see if you crumble or if you hold your ground, and really to see if you're strong enough to handle tension. Remember, I mentioned tension before because tension is attractive to a woman. It draws her in. But more importantly, if you can't handle a little tension with her, how can she trust you to handle the bigger challenges that life will throw at the two of you if you're together? Women are evolutionarily wired for this, right? They're evolutionarily wired to avoid weak men. So how do these tests play out? They might look like her teasing you. It might be her withholding affection from time to time, withholding physical affection from time to time, or things like canceling plans at the last minute to see if you'll chase her, or she'll do something to make you jealous and see how you react. And the worst thing you can do in these situations is let her see that she can control you emotionally, where you're reacting from that weak, emotional place. I very often talk about emotional quicksand, and a lot of guys, when they hire me, they're in that emotional quicksand. And when you're in that place of emotional quicksand, it is literally kryptonite to attraction. You're just driving her away when she sees you like that. So if she throws out a little challenge like, are you always this cocky? Okay? Well, what you don't want to do is get defensive and say something like, no, I'm just joking, or worse, start explaining yourself. No, I'm actually a really good guy. And because the moment that you start explaining or justifying, you're showing her That one simple comment can rattle you, and that instantly makes you less solid in her eyes. The strong response in that situation is just to smirk and say something like, "You haven't seen anything yet." Like, she can't emotionally sway you by a comment or by pulling back her attention or trying to make you jealous. She's way more likely to allow herself to feel safe getting attached to you when you handle these attachment tests correctly. Because now she knows that you're the type of man who can handle her. Now, another counterintuitive thing to remember is that a woman won't get attached to a man who puts her on a pedestal. It literally never happens. She might enjoy it for a week or two, but it'll never turn into attachment. There's a few reasons. First, it's draining to be around someone who has you on a pedestal. You know, you might think you like it, but really for her, it feels like now she has to be perfect, right? And no one's perfect. This is why women have such trouble getting attached to nice guys, because deep down, she feels like she can't relax or be herself around him. She feels pressure to live up to that fantasy version that you've built of her. And instead of feeling safe and excited, she feels exhausted and uneasy and like she's just always kind of being watched. But an even bigger reason is that when you place somebody above you, their natural inclination will be to look down on you, right? Anytime you put somebody above you, they begin to look down on you. In fact, the second she feels like you're making her the center of your universe, the magic starts to fade. That's why the second thing that you have to do, so the second tip is, so keep her in second place. There was an old commercial for Avis rental cars back in the day, and their slogan was, "We're number two, so we try harder." And that's kind of the thing. If she's number one, she stops trying. And for a woman, part of falling in love is that feeling that she's earning her place in your world. If you hand her everything on a silver platter, she stops trying. And there's no challenge for her. There's no anticipation. But when she feels like she's working for your attention, where you never quite give her 100%. You're always leaving her wanting just a little bit more. That's when her emotions get involved, and that's when this attachment starts to form. Keeping her in second place, it really just means your mission, your purpose, or your life comes first, and she fits into that world. You're not making her your whole focus. Instead, she's earning a place in your already full and exciting life. That keeps her continually putting in effort, and effort creates emotional investment. When you go back to the guys that girls chased back in, let's say, high school or college, these guys usually put her in second place behind hanging out with their friends or partying or whatever, right? So she was always competing for these guys' attention. The problem for a lot of guys is that when you get older, hanging out with friends isn't as big of a part of your day-to-day life. So when a woman comes into it, she winds up, for a lot of guys, getting all your attention immediately, which is why you need to have something in your life ahead of her. Something's gotta be there that she senses is like, she's got to compete for your attention. Something that gets her just putting in effort, something that gets her a little frustrated that you're giving your attention to this other thing and not her. Whenever a guy tells me that he went on 3 amazing dates with a woman and then she ghosted him, it's obvious that she had no emotional investment. She can like you, be attracted to you, find you funny, even have sex with you. But without emotional investment, it's very easy for her to replace you. Unfortunately, too many guys give away the very thing that makes them attractive to a woman in the first place. She was attracted to you because you were busy, driven, you had things going on in your life. But if she turns you into the guy who's suddenly home every night watching Netflix, waiting for her texts, the magic quickly dies. I've had so many clients tell me, man, when I first met her, I was busy, I was always doing stuff, and she couldn't get enough of me. But after a couple months, I stopped going to the gym, stopped hanging out with my friends. I was basically just waiting around for her plans, and that's when she starts pulling away. It always happens that way. Now, this isn't about faking her being in second place. It's about an attractive man genuinely has things going on in his life, right? An attractive man is not giving a woman all his attention. He's got passion outside of his dating life. Now, just don't take this to the extreme where you're always busy or unavailable, because that prevents attachment too. If you're like so far detached from the relationship, it's got to be a balance. And the key is balance, right? Slowing her down and setting the pace. And here's where things get fun. Women crave emotional attention like it's oxygen. It's oxygen for attraction. But too much closeness, she gets bored. Too much distance, she moves on. So the next thing you want to keep in mind when it comes to getting a woman attached is number 3 is alternating push-pull. You want to alternate push-pull. That's why you need to master this art of alternating pushing and pulling. This is because women do not get attached through the satisfaction of getting. They get attached through the craving of wanting more. Now, I'm going to repeat that. And it's worth writing down because it really is $1 million lesson when it comes to relationships and women if you grasp it. So I'm going to say it again. Women do not get attached through the satisfaction of getting. They get attached through the craving of wanting more. That means giving her moments of closeness, a compliment, a playful touch, and then pulling back before she gets too comfortable, before she begins to take it for granted. For instance, if you give her a big compliment like, "You're the most amazing woman I've ever met," you immediately have to release that tension by making a playful joke. Maybe you pause and smirk and you say, "Well, the most amazing woman I've met named Erica this week," right? You're just playing with her, right? And what happens is now she's wondering, was he serious? Was he just teasing me? You're not giving her that full, validation, that full oh my God, he's so into me. You're giving it to her and then you're pulling it back a little bit so that she's always on the grasp of it, but never quite has it all. Because that uncertainty keeps her engaged. Or after flirting and building up to the moment, you glance at your phone and you say, "All right, I gotta go." You're flirting with her, you're having fun, the date's going well, and you're the one to end it with, "Hey, shit, I gotta go." It leaves her with that feeling of unfinished business, and that's exactly what keeps her thinking about you when you're not around. I've been with my girl for a long time. People always ask me, does it end? When do I have to stop playing these games? And I don't consider them games. I just consider them giving them what women want, right? They enjoy this. It's not a game. This is what attracts them. And like I said, I've been with my girl a long time, and I still do this. It's fun, and she loves that playful tension. So if she's like, "I love you, do you love me?" I'm never just like, "Yeah, I love you. Yes, I love you." That's boring, right? You're giving her exactly what she wants. And like I said, you never want to give a woman exactly what she wants. So maybe I'll look into her eyes all serious and I'll say, "I really, really, really like you a lot," right? And she knows I'm messing around, but it still doesn't give her what she wants. Or sometimes I'll have fun with her and I'll go, "You don't love me. You just love my doggy style," right? Tension, release. You're taking a serious moment, you're giving her a little bit of it, and then you release it with some playfulness. That you're alternating, pushing, and pulling. Now, the next attachment technique, number 4, is something that I call time bridging. So, time bridging, and this is where you drop subtle, playful hints about future adventures, and then you don't bring it up again, right? Like after a fun conversation, you might say, "You and I would totally cause so much trouble in Vegas." And then you just change the topic. Or if you're looking at a picture of the two of you, you might make a joke like, "We'd make a couple of really good-looking Zoolander babies, wouldn't we?" Right? Well, what happens? She starts imagining it, and her brain begins building that story of you and her life. The more vivid that picture becomes in her head, the stronger the emotional attachment becomes. But again, don't start planning the trip or bringing it up constantly. If you make a comment like, "Oh man, we'd have so much fun in Vegas together," or "Oh, I totally got to take you to my favorite snowboarding spot." If you immediately start talking about it all the time, that doesn't work. Then it becomes pressure. "Oh my God, he's already talking." But saying it and then moving away from it, my friend Christian calls it flirting with the future, where you say something, you bring it up, and then you move away from it, and you don't start planning it. You don't bring it up again. It works because you plant that seed and let her imagination do the rest. Now, I do want to say, like anything else, if these techniques are used too much, they become worthless. So you got to use them sparingly and only at the right moments. It took me a lot of trial and error, but I discovered a very specific order that makes them even more effective. So the next thing to keep in mind though is you have to make her feel like she's not in complete control. A woman can't feel attached to a man when she feels like she can manage or tame him, okay? So what we're gonna write down for number 5 is, a woman can't attach to a man that she feels she can predict, manage, or tame. It's one of the reasons why I call my community the untamed man, because once a woman tames you, her attraction is over. She needs to feel that you're leading and she's working to win you over. That could be something as simple as when she changes plans last minute, you say, "Nah, I already set it up. You'll love it." Or when she tries to get you to reveal all your feelings, you give her just a little glimpse and then pull back. Just be careful, again, to not overplay this. The goal isn't to control her or to never reveal your feelings or never show emotions. It's to control the pace, the vibe, and the frame. And that's something that I only learned after watching hundreds of clients either blow it or get it right. And this is why even when a woman's going really, really fast in the beginning, as much as you might want to follow her lead, slow her down. Stay in control. Just because she's sending you memes in the middle of the day doesn't mean you have to do the same thing to her. Just because she sends you a good night text every single night doesn't mean you have to always reply to them. And here's the truth. A lot of what guys do, thinking it'll create closeness or get her attached, actually pushes her away. And I get it, it's completely counterintuitive. You think being more open, more available, more eager will make her want you more, but you cannot convince a woman to become attached to you. And if you try, you'll sound weak, needy, and desperate, which will make her unattached as quickly as possible. Your job is to help her create that attachment in her own. And you do that through a mix of giving her the feeling that she's winning you over and creating that tension that she craves. Now, as I mentioned earlier, on their own, these techniques are pretty powerful, but when you do them in a specific order, she can't help but get completely hooked and attached to you. Even if you're not her type, even if she already sees you as a friend, even if she's already starting to pull away. So I have a slightly longer video where I map out the exact technique and the specific steps that you can take to get her chasing you instead of the other way around. It's vitally important that you know exactly how to go from one step to the next with a woman in a way that always leaves her wanting more. And that's what I explained in the next video, how to move things forward in an under the radar way that makes her feel like she's winning you over. And when you do it, it's a lot easier to turn her into your girlfriend because it feels like it's her idea. And that's really what she wants, right? She wants it to feel like her idea. And what I also explained in the video is that even if you've already messed up, you can turn things around and you can erase those mistakes from her mind. So you have a second chance and you can stop her from pulling away. Now, a lot of guys think, okay, I get it, but just like when it comes to complimenting a woman, most guys think of the surface level stuff. Well, I won't text her back right away. Well, that's basic, right? That's like predictable. It's what every guy does, so it has no effect on her. What we teach is the psychology of love and attraction and a woman's real idea of romance. You want to get levels and levels deeper where that deep attachment forms. That's where she feels like she's falling in love. That's when she's hooked. That's when other guys disappear from her mind. So there's a link below to watch the video. Click and watch it now because every woman, there's a window of opportunity with every woman. And you don't want that window to close. There's a link below. And as always, if you like this video, hit like, leave a comment, and let me know what you want to see covered in the next video.